Today, over 50% of the world's population lives in urban areas. By 2045, global urban populations will increase by 1.5 times to 6 billion. Cities must move quickly to plan for this. And there are not many countries that require this more than India. By 2030, 68 Indian cities will have population of over 1 million each. Does India have the necessary infrastructure to meet these demands? New Delhi, India's capital city. More than 27 million people live in and around Delhi, with about 700,000 joining annually. Volumes of people are flocking, increasing the pressure on housing. The capital's peripheries have been expanding, adding to this pressure. Delhi illustrates India's population's surge to its cities.
So the scale is actually massive, far more than we can even imagine. I mean, we're talking about 56 million Indians actually living in cities as of today. But what is even more, poignant is the fact that by 2050, we're expecting this number to go up to 70%.
Approximately 700 to 900 square kilometers of residential and commercial spaces will be required to house this increasing population. That's about the size of New York City or Singapore. Entrusting the development authority and real estate community to be more responsive. Gurugram, also known as the Millennium City, is located about 30 kilometers south of the national capital, New Delhi. Located in Gurugram, EXPERION decided to build Windchants to demonstrate a city with a shifting paradigm.
In a 24-acre housing, you would need to do far larger densities and far more denser housing. But we decided to restrict it to a lesser density, and we tried to give as much green as possible and as spaced out units as possible.
This new, spacious, and well-planned development was what some discerning buyers were looking for.
I vividly recall the 24th of June 1999. On that day, our squadron was tasked for dropping a laser-guided bomb on Tiger Hill. This is the first time that the Indian Air Force was dropping a laser-guided bomb, and I was the first pilot to drop that bomb. The challenge was to do something which had never been done before, at an altitude which had never been attempted before. We had a very early morning that day. We got airborne at about 6:30 in the morning from about 500 kilometers away from the battlefield, and set course towards Kargil. It was one of the vivid moments of my entire service career, and I can still recollect each and every moment of it. We were used to a life of luxury, especially in the last few years in the services before we retired. And therefore, we were looking for something which would sort of replace what we were leaving behind. That's how we stumbled upon Windchants. The space is actually mind-boggling. It's got 3 sides open, and wherever you look, you find the sky in front of you. The ventilation is excellent, and we're truly satisfied and happy living here.
Windchants evolved to focus on what the community lacks today, to pioneer, to lead, an attempt to demonstrate a solution of designing spaces which resonate holistic living.
EXPERION essentially stands for experience. Experience was catalyst, where we were talking about environment, we were talking about holistic living, we were talking about nature, we were talking about how to integrate all of that together. That is where the whole EXPERION evolved to develop a project like Windchants, which was like a dream come true.
I wanted to do something that's creative. I like to capture the morning sunrise, the sunset. It's so beautiful out here. And sitting in the balcony and to capture those moments. The view outside and the peacefulness and the tranquility of this place inspires me more. It gives me a new zest of life.
Global temperatures are poised to rise by 1.5 degrees Celsius over the next 2 decades. Delhi experienced a severe heat wave with scorching temperatures at 40.1 degrees Celsius at the end of March 2021, marking it as the hottest day in 76 years.
There are large open areas in the form of windows and doors, and these are very easily transmitting both heat and sound.
To counter increasing temperatures, designers have incorporated several measures, adopting latest technological devices. Let's meet an expert who can scientifically explain and demonstrate the concepts of heat.
Can you believe how hot it is outside these days? Every time I step out, I feel like I'm going to melt. Heat outside in our environment finds its way into our homes through walls and windows. As we install more and more air conditioners to keep ourselves comfortable, it would also be helpful if we understood how heat transmission works. Heat is a form of energy, and we use temperature as an indicator of hotness or coldness of a body or an object. Let's try to solve our problem with the help of a quick experiment. We are using this room heater as our heat source. This is going to emit heat towards this single pane of glass as you would use in a normal house. We are going to measure the temperature on both sides of the glass, and therefore we will understand and we'll get an estimate of how much heat is transmitted across this window pane. So to measure the temperature, we are going to use this infrared thermometer. So I'm measuring first on the surface that is exposed to the heater, which is typically on the outside of a house. The temperature on this side is 44.7 degrees Celsius. Now I'm going to measure the temperature on the other side, which would be normally inside the house. And the temperature on this side of the glass is 42.4. So we can see that the temperature difference on both sides of the glass is actually not that much. A single pane glass window easily transmits heat from outside to inside our homes. As an effect, our homes heat up quite a bit during the summer. So a solution to this problem is to reduce the heat transmission from outside environment into our homes by using a double glazed window.
We have used aluminum doors and windows, and we have gone to a material selection which is a double glazed unit of glass with an inert material or vacuum in between the layers. This will help me in reducing the heat content as it is transferred from external to internal. So DGU units that you have used, the double glazed unit that you have used, there we have taken care to alter the different glass thickness.
The design of buildings can either improve or aggravate the impact of heat waves, urban heat islands, and local air pollution.
We are going to use a double glazed window to simulate the same effect of heating from outside and then measuring temperatures on both sides of it. So a double glazed window is made up of 2 layers of glass separated by a small gap that is typically filled with an inert gas. An inert gas is a poor conductor of heat. Therefore, we have increased the resistance to heat transfer from outside to inside, and which would in effect reduce the gain of heat during summer days, and also in a reverse way, it's also going to reduce the transmission of heat from inside the house to outside during very cold days. We have allowed the heater to run and heat this side of the glass to roughly the same temperature. We are going to make sure by measuring this temperature again. So as we are measuring the temperature on this side, this has come up to 44.5 degrees Celsius, which is same as what we measured in our previous experiment. Now I'm going to measure on the other side, which is inside our home. And on this side, we are measuring now a temperature of 35.8 degrees Celsius. So we can see that this double glazed window reduces the transmission of heat from outside to inside in a significant manner as compared to a single pane glass window. Therefore, now we can rely significantly less on air conditioning use to make our homes comfortable. This is a transparent insulator which will help us save on electricity bills and also help the environment.
But heat is not the only element residents living in large cities are exposed to. There are numerous health hazards of being exposed to noise for prolonged periods due to city sounds. Level of sound, or its loudness, is measured in decibels, or dB, and sounds over a certain threshold is considered as noise. A soft sound like a whisper is about 30 decibels. Be quiet. A normal conversation is about 60 decibels. Noise above 70 decibels over a prolonged period of time may start to damage your hearing, and loud noises that are above 120 decibels can cause immediate harm to your ears. And here's our expert with the concept of sound.
Around the world, for peaceful living, the noise standards for residential areas are kept at 55 decibel. But if you are living in a large city, chances are there is a busy road not too far from your house, and the constant hum of the motor cars or the plane flying overhead invades the house and disturbs the peace. The tiny sized sound waves enter our house through the windows, doors, or even through the walls.
One of the challenges that we had in construction, we had to ensure that sound insulation were properly taken care of. This project is in close proximity to the airport, therefore the decibel level is a matter of concern for the residents.
This is an example of a tower block such as the one you might be living in. With this speaker, let us try to replicate the noise of a busy traffic road. I will use this decibel meter to measure the level of the sound or noise coming out. Let's play. As you can see, a reading close to the traffic is 113.7 dB, which is dangerously loud. Now, let's check the levels if we take the reading inside our house through this window. The reading from the inside is 86 decibel, which is still extremely loud. Now, how do you deal with this problem?
One of the aspects was a sandwich wall panel that we used.
Our main condition was it has to be closer to the airport because our son is a pilot. Did you hear the sound while we were talking? The aircraft, you can't hear, and you can have a very peaceful sleep. It doesn't disturb us at all.
Sound travels as mechanical wave that moves and transport energy from one place to another through a medium. The medium can be any series of interconnected and interactive particles. Let's understand it better through Newton's cradle, a device which consists of 5 metal balls. When the balls at the one end of the cradle pulls away and released, it strikes the next ball in the cradle, which remains motionless. But the ball on the opposite end of the row is thrown into the air, then swing back to strike the other balls, starting the chain reaction again in reverse direction. This continues till the energy is dissipated or used. However, when a damping material is placed between the last two balls, the last ball moves much less, representing the sound energy dissipating as it passes through a medium. This is the concept of soundproofing. Instead of a single wall, a sandwich panel can be used. The sandwich panel is composed of a 2-layer foamed panel which is light, efficient and easy to install. This technique is widely used nowadays in the modular buildings.
For sandwich walls, what we did was we used concrete walls. We did use inner core of insulation material which was 80 mm thick with thin layers of concrete on either side. with 4 mm welded mesh and self-flowable concrete. Self-compacting concrete was used for this particular purpose.
Instead of a single wall that barely dampens the noise, we are using a tower with sandwich wall. Let's check the reading inside the new house with the soundproofing walls. It's only 58 dB.
What this means is that you can spend quality time inside your house without any outside noise annoying you.
The space really helps me to be more creative and to be more focused towards my work.
Windchants revolves around the concept of 7. There is a mysticism to this whole 7. 7 emerges out of the 7 surahs of the Indian music. It has the 7 rivers, the 7 holy cities. We found these 7 towers in one way, symbolizing that element. That's the spirit on which EXPERION revolves. Windchants revolves around the concept of 7. 7 emerges out of the 7 surahs of the Indian music. It has the 7 vows of Indian marriage. It has the 7 rivers, the 7 holy cities, and so on. There is a mysticism to this whole 7 number in India. And India believes in these mythological elements. We decided to inculcate the element of mythology, the SUPERSTRUCTURES. And Windchants, we found these 7 towers in one way, symbolizing that element. This beautiful connotation, once when we superimposed on the plan and the shape of the site, we just realized that the rhythm and the harmony of 7 can be multiplied.
There was another reason for why the project was designed in this particular shape.
We allowed this whole architecture to allow for the wind and how the wind flows within this entire unison with the landscape green, which created this concept of wind chanting. And from there we derived the word Windchants.
Wind is a critical factor, especially when it comes to high rises. Wind speed increases as we go higher. This meant that residents living on higher floors would face high-speed winds pressing against the windows and glass doors, which could shatter if not designed well.
There could be a twisting, there could be a warping, or to an extreme case, there could be a shattering of glass also. The aluminium sections are first designed considering the wind loads, and corresponding to these aluminium sections, the window glass thickness is also designed. Whether it should be a 6 mm thickness or it should be an 8 mm thickness, what should be the gap in between, all these are based on the wind pressure which is coming. So this is how the wind pressure is catered for.
While the higher floors had an abundant circulation of wind, it was the ground level that could have faced a scarcity. But the team found an innovative way to work around this.
We have tried to ensure that at least about 30 to 31% of the open areas are available to us at the time of completion of construction. Now these open spaces along with the green spaces created a free atmosphere so that there are no obstructions. That is how wind channeling is done.
So wind is flowing in, wind is passing by, the towers are interspaced, landscape merges in between the whole story. It just becomes like a very unified architecture in true reality.
When wind hits the structure in its path, the wind stream get distributed above and around the sides of the structure. It changes direction and goes in the direction of least resistance.
Wind is commonly harnessed in today's world to generate power, but there are other uses of harnessing wind, such as to give people an extra breezy experience at the ground level, where usually they wouldn't feel the breeze, by channeling the wind.
When towers or buildings are constructed in a residential complex, wind hits this structure and gets distributed into various areas, thereby not creating any specific stream of wind. If we record the speed of the wind closer to the source, so let's see how it is coming, 5.7 meter per second. So let's record the velocity of the wind between the two buildings. Okay, you can see it is coming 2.5 meter per second once the two buildings are quite apart. Okay, so you have seen that velocity at the back of the building dropped significantly.
Well, the name is pretty apt for this place, Windchants. Here we get wind throughout. There's always, when you go for a walk, there's always a lovely breeze and it feels really great.
Now, can we able to increase that velocity? Yes, using the wind channeling and the Venturi effect, we can able to increase it.
The Venturi effect was discovered 2 centuries ago by the Italian physicist Giovanni Venturi. He observed that when wind flows through a constricted passage, the pressure drops and, as a result, the velocity of wind increases. When a series of tall buildings are built close to each other, they come face to face with wind. Wind flowing between them gets squeezed, resulting in a significant increase in velocity.
We need to make the two buildings closer. Now we are going to measure the speed of the wind close to the source, 5.7 meter per second. So now let's see the velocity of the wind at the back of the building. Here we are putting the building close to each other so that we can able to see the Venturi effect. So we measure it and we can see it is 6 meter per second.
As the name suggests, it's called Windchants. It's very windy here. It has very good ventilation throughout the society.
More and more people need to work and live in the same location. So we are finding a localization of the needs of people. They're becoming far more local rather than moving out of their complexes or moving out of their communities. They are actually looking inward. This is very positive because it allows and enriches the community. And I think this kind of thing is going to help bond society in the manner that it was meant to be.
The variety of living spaces at Windchants allows the option of living in high-rise towers to standalone villas.
From an Indian perspective, people move from large setups, communities and large families to very small nuclear setups in the cities. It changes the dynamics, severely social dynamics of society, of how we function in society and what we mean by community.
But while designing Windchants, the need for a traditional Indian joint family living together was very much a part of planning. The duplexes at Windchants give the residents the experience of living in traditional multi-level homes, yet enjoy being a part of the community. A self-sufficient and safe way of living in a gated project. And above all, Windchants is resort living in the middle of a city.
We are manufacturers of ceramic brick tiles and hollow blocks. That is in Jhajjar. So when we started looking for a new home, I really wanted that my workplace has to be nearby. In Dwarka Expressway would be a good choice, and be it EXPERION Windchants, I think that's the best choice I've made so far.
We were looking for a home post our marriage. It was a new beginning, a new phase for us. We wanted a space that is really spacious, close to the greenery. In Windchants, we have a beautiful clubhouse, a spacious clubhouse. We have badminton courts, squash courts, gym, Olympic lap, swimming pool. Sometimes I play with my neighbors who have become with time my friends.
EXPERION wanted to create spaces that were community spaces within the whole complex. We wanted to give it back to the society. And until and unless spaces are created, they will then become the interactive nodes where you can come down and you can teach, you can learn, you can see, you can interact. And once when all that happens, life happens around that, which we feel will be more holistic.
So we actually planned this when we see kids here in the society playing different sports. We actually could, think that when we have kids in future, they'll have this good time, with other kids, and we'll be secure that we are in a gated community.
So we both have lived in a house and we haven't experienced this ourselves. So I really believe that we ourselves haven't played these kind of sports in the society.
They'll also have a life. They won't be hooked to electronic gadgets.
So the other day there was this skating teacher that had come, and they were like the entire society kids were learning skating together. It's
Culmination of all that is it actually fitted all our parameters. It filled everything. In fact, it came out to be more than what we asked for.
And different families have found their own reasons to move to Windchants.
I have actually done multiple roles. Two of them were major country head and business head roles. The last role was for about 5 years I was into a global role. So back in 2012 when I was heading a company which was into building management system, I learned that there is a builder from Singapore who is building a residential building here in Gurgaon. And the specifications were amazing. Air conditioning, chiller plants, security surveillance systems, and the whole construction material including fire doors. When I compare them, they were all in, I would say, international standards. And I thought this should be some commercial building. And when I learned this is residential, this is how, researched a little more, and then we thought of buying this property. We have seen the construction from the excavation till this was handed over to us. And that's how we ended up as a first family, landing up in this project.
So beauty of Windchants is different cultural group, 100+ ladies, and all are active. We did so many things in the past like Dandiya night, Christmas night, Holi, Diwali.
Even people who don't meet often, this is the time that they get together and also show their solidarity towards the country, towards the nation. I think a good feeling overall by the community for the nation.
Skywalk became a zone where it would be the indulgence of the residents for a great luxurious living.
Delhi is one of the largest growing megacities of the world. In fact, not just in India, but even globally. The United Nations says that 2028, it's going to be larger in terms of population size than even Tokyo, which is one of the densest cities in the world. That actually puts a huge amount of pressure on its existing infrastructure.
Living little off from the main city, although not too far, it's like everything is half an hour from here. In Delhi, for example, if you live for so many years, although you believe that you're not missing anything, actually I believe we are missing everything. Because you are in a city, but you are not observing anything. You are also self-engrossed all the time. You have no time to look outside. When we moved here, I think that's what I started observing in myself, that I have become more observant. And I think that's how I am getting more and more involved to just focus on capturing nature. This one looks like a brown rock chat. In Windchants alone, I was able to capture about 31 birds in last couple of months. The first impression is that, wow, I got it. But when you look at it again and again and again, you start seeing, no, this was not, the light was not right, the angle was not right. I didn't capture the real mood of the bird and the eye. Of course, my wife and my children have been a big support. Then they said, Dad, why don't you put this together? And that can be a good coffee table book. That's how the idea came up.
When we set about the construction, about the entire 2.8 million square feet in one go, there was one specific design aspect that was to be accommodated.
One of Asia's largest residential skywalks connecting all 7 towers, this walkway combines the greens with a jogging track, all at a height of approximately 26 meters above ground level, not surprisingly on the 7th floor.
Skywalk became a zone where it would be the indulgence of the residents for a great luxurious living.
However, with the skywalk, the team faced an engineering challenge. They had to ensure that the construction methodology, as well as the choice of contractors, was such that they were able to cater to this and deliver the skywalk along with the entirety of the project.
We adopted a monolithic construction methodology here, where we were tackling both the walls and the slab together, so that the high-rise towers were able to be completed within the stipulated time.
Skywalk is the most important feature of this particular project. There are few high-rise towers and few mid-rise towers. For interconnecting, 3 number of bridges were required. To construct those bridges, they were coming at 26-meter height, and these were coming on top of the basement slab. So doing that scaffold of this height, this magnitude, it was quite a heavy thing. Staging, shuttering activities, and a lot of live load. This was coming to about 1,500 tons for each of the bridges. Now, erecting that magnitude on a basement slab, that was a big challenge. So we implemented a lot of systems and processes to take care of the safety and quality for the people who are working here, and then implemented that. So that was indeed an engineering challenge.
Construction had its own challenges. One, because in some parts of the skywalk, in its entire length, it is not supported by anything except the tower supports. It's a freestanding skywalk there. At some parts of the skywalk length, it is like a bridge, and at some parts of the skywalk, it is on the terrace of the building, which is an integral part of the building. Now, whenever it was part of the building, forming the terrace of the building, we did not have much a challenge in the scaffolding or the concreting part because it was part of the building.
I feel the skywalk is so beautiful, like gorgeous in the morning as well as in the evening, We usually take the evening strolls. At times we take the midnight strolls, can you believe it? It's just so amazing.
Now coming to the portions where it is as a bridge between 2 towers. There is no support at the bottom at all. Now we are talking about 7th floor, but there is a ground floor. So this is actually 8 floors of height of scaffolding to be done. So that would be more than about 80 feet of height, where the steel scaffolding has to be done right from the ground level without any intermediate supports.
Windchants merges the concept of green at its 7th level, which is nothing but regained green from the ground level on the top level. This gives us an opportunity to integrate it with jogging tracks and herb gardens and landscape breathers for people to come down and interact and use these spaces meaningfully.
Now, when we actually construct, there is construction load. So the scaffolding which was done below that will have to take into account all these incidental loads. And the way we overcame is because we focused on what incidental or accidental loads could be coming on. We did not give it a trial and error method. We went into the detailing what loads are coming, what incidental or accidental loads could be coming on that. We designed the entire framework for structure with a factor of safety, and then we erected that.
Architecture is both a science as well as an art, and you have to mix the elements of nature to arrive there.
In my profession, when I'm usually up in the sky, I'm in a cramped space, but here I'm up in the sky, open spaces, greenery, beautiful breeze. You just can't beat it.
The vibration that you get over here and the energy flow, it's really beautiful, I feel.
Space inside, outside, right side and left side. You see?
Nice, no? Yeah. Smells good. Yeah.
And here I am living my DDLJ dream life with my family, and when the season is right, with mustard field all around us.
A lot of really well designed private developments are not just about the content of what is inside there. They are actually catalysts.
Right now, you can see the view outside. It's spectacular actually, the greenery outside, the Delhi greens, and nothing is going to come over there. So that's why we chose this house.
Varunji, I remember a time when reaching office in 1 hour was an impossible task.
Looks like working for you, right?
Yeah, it is,
okay.
Actually.
It's good to know you paint, huh?
Space inside, outside, right side and left side. You see?
It's like cantonment, huh?
I'm an outdoor person and I really feel that this place has given me amazing opportunities.
Nice, no? Smells good.
Feel relaxed. Very nice.
So for EXPERION, developing Windchants and similar kind of developments was just not a business module. It was the beginning of a new renaissance, creating an example for the real estate to follow if possible.
When private development starts to look at itself and looks away from being the tallest and the brightest and the most glittering, and starts looking at the quality of life that it's actually producing within itself, then yes, it starts to mean something so important, because it will actually be a precursor to anything which is built in the public realm, because that's what people will want. So it's very important to move away from just being a landmark to becoming a benchmark.
Nature in terms of I would say this is really kind of dream come true.
Yeah, it's been a blessing.